I want to put in a personal word right here. When I was growing up, my best friend had a sister. I was 10, she was 11, he was 12. And we knew she had some kind of a disease. We didn't know what it was because we were too little. We knew she was taken to the hospital. And one day we were sitting in Chicago, and we were sitting on the front steps. And all of a sudden the phone rang, and the parents came running out, and they rushed away to the hospital, and we wondered what was going on. We didn't know, we were too little. That day, my friend's sister died. So I wondered what happened. We went to the funeral at our church, about 350 people, and there was a little lady that came and stood up at the pulpit when the crowd was there, and she had been with my friend's sister when she died. She'd been sitting there, just holding her hand, talking to her, comforting her. I was sitting in the front row with my friend, and this lady that we knew and trusted, standing there just a few feet away from me, she said, and she named her name, when she died, before she did, all of a sudden, she sat up in her bed and she said, look, I see Jesus, I see the angels. And she closed her eyes and she lay back down. I was 10 years old. Never forgot that. I've had other guests, Erwin, that have sat right in your chair. 2 months ago, one of them went into heaven. He was talking to his family, and all of a sudden, he said to them, just like he was carrying on a conversation with them, he says, my goodness, heaven is much more beautiful than I ever thought it was. And he died. Took me by shock. I'm simply saying that here, the thief, today you will be with me in paradise. I can imagine him opening his eyes just a few hours later, and there he sees Jesus in all of his splendor. Jesus says, I told you I would bring you with me.
And you know, that makes me think of Stephen when he was stoned. There's a story in the New Testament about this man who spoke about Christ. His name was Stephen. And because of the anger of the crowd, they began to throw stones at him. And the Bible says that when he opened his eyes, he saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. Isn't it interesting that it's the only time in all the New Testament where Jesus is seen standing at the right hand of God? Elsewhere, about 10 times, it says that Jesus was seated at the right hand of God. So it's almost as if Jesus was saying, Stephen, I know that these stones are very hurtful. You're going through a very painful time, but I want you to know that when this is over, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Now, having said all that, we do have to issue a caution. There's some people who die who say that they saw Jesus and he told them it didn't matter what they believed, what religion they belonged to. Those kinds of experiences are fraudulent. They may even be given by Satan. And the reason for that is because Jesus is the only path to the Father. And the reason for that is he's the one who shed his blood, who made a sacrifice for sins, and nobody else out there has done that.